Welcome to the Note Nuggets podcast, where you can learn how to become the bank, build wealth, and accumulate streams of income perfect for your savings or IRAs. You'll hear from industry experts, seasoned veterans, and everyday investors. Our goal is to teach you how to invest in notes, one nugget of knowledge at a time. Here's your host, Kevin Galang.
We are back with another Note Nugget to add to your tool belt. In a previous episode, Sean Yesner eloquently defined what a foreclosure is. You can check out that episode at notenuggets.com/foreclosure. Well, what happens if you want to move forward with a foreclosure? What information would you need as the lender to do so? On this episode, Sean provides a list of to-dos for what every investor needs to do before initiating a foreclosure on a borrower. So here is your foreclosure checklist. Sean Yesner has been an attorney since 1998, practicing mostly in the areas of real estate law, consumer law, and bankruptcy primarily. Sean's office is in Clearwater, Florida, although he can practice in any state or federal court in the state of Florida. Sean is the host of the Crushing Debt podcast, available on all podcast players, and the author of Crushing Debt, 9 Strategies to Eliminate Financial Bullies, which is available on Amazon. Now, if an investor is to foreclose, what are some checklist items that they need to have? And this could be something like a document. And obviously, my understanding, if you're going to foreclose, you should get a lawyer. But what are some things that you would say, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z before thinking about foreclosing?
So the very first thing on the list, make sure you have the original note. Make sure you have, if not the original mortgage, make sure the mortgage is recorded. A lot of, especially in Florida, but I would imagine most courts, if the mortgage is recorded, the court can take judicial notice of a document recorded in the public records, meaning the court can use the recorded document as authentic. You may have to go to the clerk of the court and have them certify that that copy is a copy of what is in the public records. So the original note at least, the recorded mortgage at least, although if you have the original mortgage, that's good. All of the assignments and all of the allonges, make sure you have those. And the assignments, again, like the mortgage, they can be recorded because you can get clerk certified copies of the recorded assignments, or make sure you have the original assignments. For those listeners that don't know what the allonge is, that's just the endorsement. So, a lot of times where the way it'll be, the classic example, what we learn in law school is if you start signing the check, you endorse the check, and then the next person, and the next person, and eventually you're going to have to run out of room on that check. So you take a separate piece of paper and you start endorsing that separate piece of paper. As long as it's attached to the check, those endorsements all still count. That's the allonge. A lot of banks will use an allonge because they don't want to write all over the original note. So they'll just take a separate piece of paper, endorse that separate piece of paper, staple it to the note. Now you've got an allonge. So make sure all of your loan documents are the original documents. That's the first thing that I would have. At its heart, a foreclosure is really a breach of contract type of issue. So the next thing you want to do is read the note and mortgage. What do the note and mortgage require? I've done a couple of foreclosures for private investors where the note did not have a requirement that a notice of default be sent to the seller. The lender could just you don't pay me, I'm going to foreclose. I don't got to send you any advance written warnings.
Wow, that's terrifying.
Now, maybe I might want to because I'm a nice guy, or I might want to because I think I can get an agreement with the borrower here, or maybe there's some other reason to do it, even though the note and mortgage don't say you have to. But read the note and mortgage. You might not have to. If you do have to, either that's where I would come in to draft those original the notice of default and acceleration, or make sure that the previous servicer has sent out those notices. Any correspondence from the borrower, because that can either tell you in advance what their defenses are going to be, or shortcut their defenses in advance. That's pretty much, in terms of what do I need to get started, that's pretty much it. A title search. You also want to get a title search. You want to make sure that, mortgage priority, make sure if you're in first position, you're foreclosing everybody out. Especially here in Florida, you want to make sure you're naming the associations, because the associations have what's called a safe harbor. In other words, if I'm the real estate investor and I buy property at a first mortgage foreclosure sale, as the investor, I owe the association all 100% of any outstanding overdue assessments. But if I'm the bank, if you hold the paper and I'm the bank, my liability to the association is limited to 1% of the mortgage balance or 12 months of unpaid assignments, whichever is less. So if it's a $200,000 mortgage, my liability is limited to what, $2,000?
Right.
Or 1 year of unpaid assessments, whichever is less. And so you want to make sure you do that title search to figure out, is there an association? What other junior lien holders do we have to name? And I think from there, where do we find the defendant, the borrowers? And then I think from there, you're good to go.
And that is what you need if you want to foreclose on a borrower. A foreclosure is a great tool for you as a lender. Now, if you want more note nuggets from Sean, you can go ahead and get access to the full interview that I have with Sean by going to the show notes at notenuggets.com/foreclosure-checklist. Until next week, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Note Nuggets podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show to get access to additional weekly value nuggets and get notified with episode updates. To subscribe, all you have to do is head over to subscribe.notenuggets.com. If you have any questions about this episode or note investing, book a time on Kevin's calendar at contact.notenuggets.com. We'll see you next week with another note nugget to add to your tool belt.